it's Rachel back from Smile English Stories. Vous pouvez écouter de l'anglais parlé naturellement. Et aujourd'hui, pour cuisiner en anglais. I am not a chef, but because the Easter weekend is coming, I thought you might like me to show you how to make a traditional English Easter recipe. These are hot cross buns. So if you come with me to my kitchen, I will show you how to make them. So let's make the dough. This is my mum's recipe, which I love because it's so simple. First, you need to weigh the dry ingredients and the butter with the weighing scales. Be careful, you will need plain flour and not self-raising flour. Self-raising flour is plain flour with baking powder. You need 400 grams of plain flour. $395. 400. You need a half a teaspoon of mixed spice, which is a special ingredient from England. I will explain later. You need half a teaspoon of salt and 50 grams of butter in small pieces. If you don't have any mixed spice, you can make it with 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg, half a teaspoon of ginger, 1/4 of a teaspoon of allspice, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of cloves. You need to use a plastic bowl or a warm metal bowl, and you put all the dry ingredients into the bowl. The flour, the mixed spice, the salt, and the pieces of butter. Then you rub the butter into the flour using the end of your fingers. When all the butter is mixed in, you can add the next ingredients. Next, you need 100 grams of currants, 25 to 35 grams of sugar, and 2 packets of dried yeast. If you don't have any currants, you can use other dried fruit, like mixed peel or raisins. Now I'm going to mix the currants, the yeast, and the sugar in with a wooden spoon. And now we can finish by adding the eggs and the milk. You need either 285 milliliters of milk, warm milk, not cold or hot milk, or 2 eggs mixed with warm milk to 285 milliliters. Next, I'm going to mix the eggs and the warm milk with the dry ingredients and knead them together like bread. And knead the dough just a little. Don't over knead the dough or your buns will be hard like rock. Now we need to cover the dough with a clean tea towel in a warm place for 1 hour. So let's have a look. Smells good. The dough should have doubled. So now we can make the buns. I am putting more flour on my hands so I can knead the dough a little more. Now I'm going to take a knife and divide the dough into about 8 to 10 pieces. Then you take each piece, form a little ball and put it on a greased baking tray and make a cross in it with a knife. Some people make a white cross from a dough made with flour and water. It's prettier, but it's too complicated for me. When you've finished, you need to cover the buns again and leave them for 30 minutes. We're almost ready to bake the buns, so we can switch the oven on at 225 degrees C. To finish the buns, you can make a glaze with 1 tablespoon of sugar and 2 tablespoons of milk. Mix them together with a fork. Then brush the glaze on the buns. Then put them in the oven for about 20 minutes. And now all you have to do is wait. In 1066 AD, which means Anno Domini or after Christ, William of France sailed across the English Channel with lots of ships. He killed the English king and became the King of England, King William I. So let's see. At the time, we called the people living in England Anglo-Saxons, and Anglo-Saxons worshipped lots of different gods and goddesses. One of the goddesses' names was Eustre, which sounds a little bit like Easter. And Eustre was the goddess of new things, like the new moon, or babies, or the spring. And at the end of the lunar cycle, the Anglo-Saxons would offer special cakes decorated with horns in the shape of a cross to the goddess Ustre. The book says that King William built a lot of churches in England, and England turned little by little to Christianity. 700 years later, so in the 1700s or the 18th century, street vendors would sell hot cross buns on the street. They would sell them for God's Friday or Good Friday, which is the Friday before Easter Sunday. And they would shout, "Hot cross buns! Hot cross buns! 1 a penny, 2 a penny, hot cross buns!" Cross for the cross where Christ was crucified, and hot because hot is much better than cold.
You. Eet je?
It's time to take them out of the oven. Oh, they look good. They should be brown on both sides, but not overdone. Oh, they're hot. Hot cross buns. So if you make some hot cross buns, let me know in the comments. But I think it's time for me to try one. They're very good with a little bit of butter and, of course, a cup of tea. Happy Easter! Not bad.